Hey everybody, welcome to Limitless Radiocast, episode 38. Sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. We got another great guest lined up. We'd like to thank True Tubes Tattoo Supply for sponsoring this show. All you tattooers out there, go out and get all your equipment, your inks, your needles, your pens, your PPE, anything you need for tattooing. True Tubes Tattoo Supply has you covered. Limitless at checkout. Get a 10% discount. Check them out. Remember, stay true. We'd also like to thank Magic City Brewing Company located in Akron, Ohio. For all your wonderfully great crafted beers, check out Magic City Brewing in Akron, Ohio. Remember to go out there and check out rollamongus.com also. For all your fight gear needs, they have fight shorts, gis, standard gis, lanky gis, rash guards, anything. Some t-shirts, sweatshirts, accessories. You want it, they got it. Rollamongus.com, Limitless20 at checkout for a 20% discount. Check them out. Also, go out there and check out battlebomb.com. Limitless20 at checkout for a 20% discount. They have CBD and non-CBD rubs for those aches, pains, those muscle strains. Put it on, rub it in, gonna feel great, trust me. Try it out a little bit, see what it does. I'm telling you right now, I use it all the time. It's gonna feel great. Remember, battlebomb.com, Limitless20 at checkout. Hey everybody, welcome to the show. Thanks for hanging out with us today. We are hanging out with Clay Mayfield. He is the owner and lead instructor of Triangle Academy out of Franklin, Tennessee. He is also now a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt under Heath Pedigo. Was a brown belt, competed highly, done really, really well, just got his black belt. So I'm sure we'll get on all that stuff, man. Clay, thanks so much for being here, hanging out with us, talking jiu-jitsu, and maybe getting some judo stuff too, because he's also a black belt in judo. So
well, Terry, Chad, thanks for having me, guys. I appreciate it. Appreciate y'all's great podcast and just give me a chance to have a chat with you fellas.
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely, man. And I know you take to heart, which is really awesome, the whole coaching thing, like taking like a 1% of person and trying to make them better, like in everything that they do. And Chad and I we definitely approach both life. I'm an older beginner of a grappler in jiu-jitsu. I'm 44. So I started Chad, like 19 months ago, something like that. So obviously fell in love with it and all that kind of stuff, but reading, about you and stuff and seeing like what you've done, I'm like, man, like in talking to Jonathan, because we had Jonathan on the show, Jonathan Hart, and like you love the coach. You love to make people better and get the best out of them. Mm-hmm. How did it feel like having all those guys around when you got the black belt?
Man, that was the best part. I've, there was always the possibility that I would get it on the podium at, Panzer Worlds or something,
sure.
or get it up at like team headquarters. But what I really wanted was for it to happen at my gym where, the guys that I'm training with every day and then my students and just, all my teammates would be there. And so I didn't know it was going to happen that day. I thought it was going to be soon, but I didn't know it would be that day. And so, some of my teammates, Heath let them know, and they kind of pulled out all the stops and told everyone. And nice. That was the most special part of the whole day, was just that almost everyone that I care about was there to share it and be a part of it.
It's awesome. It was so cool, like watching that video and seeing like the raw, because this. I mean, and I'm learning this, obviously. I love it. And Chad knows this, obviously, your guys' journey to become a black belt. And then, you get to say, well, we start all over kind of deal.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But like, what you go through, like it's the pain, suffering, the fighting and all that stuff in a good way. But, so it was just awesome, man, to see like that raw emotion that it was like, hey, it's work. Yeah.
Thanks, man. Yeah. I've seen the video, 4 or 5 times since they dropped it last week. I don't think I've watched it without tearing up yet.
I bet, man.
It's amazing how that many people. So jiu-jitsu people like to tell and share all their secrets, right? But something that big, they could keep a secret from you. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, that was a blind side.
Yeah, because that's what happened to me when I got promoted. James came up. I thought it was just like a normal seminar. Everyone knew except me.
Wow.
It was like, wow. And as the day started going, certain people were coming in, like my mom showed up. I'm like, why is my mom here? Like, so yeah, it's crazy that they can keep secrets when they want to.
I found out actually like 2 days before. So I thought it was going to happen. Like the Nashville Open was like last week or so. And I thought it was going to happen then because the whole team was going to be back down. but it ended up, a month ago now on October 3rd, like it was our 3-year anniversary. And so the team was coming down for a big open mat, and we were going to give Jonathan his purple belt. And so I knew a bunch of the team was coming down, and then the Nogi Worlds was the next week. And so it was like Sunday was the open mat, and then I think Wednesday we were flying out for Nogi Worlds, and I was ranked. It was the number 1 seat. I've ranked number 1 in the world at middleweight brown belt, and I was like, ready to like win my first world title.
Sure,
so I was pretty jazzed up for that. And then the Friday night before the open mat, so like 36 hours beforehand, I got an email from the IBJJF saying that it was like athlete correction day for Worlds, and it said that I was registered in the black belt brackets. And I was like, hang on,
that's awesome.
I turned to one of my training partners. We were getting like a late night drilling, and I was turned him and I was like, man, I think I'm getting my black belt Sunday. And he got like all like sheepish and like looked away and was like, oh, that's weird. And I was like, son of a bitch, And so yeah, it took me completely by surprise because I didn't think it would happen until after Worlds. But it happened, and then 3 days later I got to compete at Worlds in middleweight black belt. It was a little interesting that they decided to do it right before that instead of waiting afterwards. But the more I thought about it, I kind of rationalized you only get so many chances in your life to fight for an adult black belt world title.
Sure. Yeah.
Fuck it. Why not have one more?
Yeah. Right. And it's awesome too. Like
it's not like you're not ready.
Right.
Obviously Heath wouldn't have done it unless you were there.
Watching the brackets, I mean, I really don't think the black belt middleweight was that much harder than the brown belt middleweight.
Yeah.
Nice.
But
did it feel different, like showing up and putting that belt on when you were about to compete, or was it just like another day at the office?
Well, I mean, it was Nogi. I didn't put the belt on.
Oh, that's right. I forgot. Yeah. Nogi Worlds. Sorry.
I have never, I've always had nerves competing a little bit. Okay. And the thing about I've already competed, I guess 4 times as a black belt now. And it's like, there's just no nerves because I'm supposed to lose. So, I mean, I know I'm not going to. I've had some really great showings at black belt, but it's just like I show up and it's like no one expects me to win. All I can do is show out and win, and I'm confident. So there's no nervousness at all. Yeah. And I mean, I've competed a lot, but I've still always had the nerves. Not as bad as I used to. But it's always there, and now it's just completely gone. So that's great.
Awesome.
Yeah, and that's so awesome too to explain it that way, because you're 100% right. It's like, well, I'm already counted out, kind of like in the Met. It's like, oh, I just got this like days ago. You know what I mean? So it's like, oh, well, here you're going to a new bracket. So that is like, well, I'd have nothing to lose, man. Let's go, leave it on the mat, do what I do, and it is what it is,
Yeah.
Which makes that's pretty awesome.
Yeah, that's what one of our guys, Will, that competed yesterday, Terry. He told, because I just gave him his blue belt, I don't know, a month ago now. And he signed up for the submission only. He's like, I'm supposed to lose. I'm the new blue belt, right? So he went in and he took second in Nogi closed it out kind of with one of our guys. But,
he did.
They fought for it.
Yeah, they did.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
One guy took gold and the other guy took, and it was funny because they joked when it was over, and it was like, well, that was his first loss in a double elimination. So let's get back on the mat and go again.
And they're like, no.
And they were both tired, and they were like, no, we were towards the end of the day for last matches.
Yeah, they're ready to go home.
They were like, I'm cool. You take silver, I'm taking gold. It's all right. No problem.
Yeah.
How many matches in a tournament have you done at once? Like, what's your
day?
In one day?
12 or 13.
Dang, come on, man. Dang.
That was at like an AGF, they're one of the local organizations that they let you sign up for a bunch of divisions. At an IBJJF, I don't know, 8 or 10 maybe.
Yeah,
that's a long.
But
day.
I love that. Like I love having a bunch of matches. I would hate to go up and have like one match in each division or something like that. When I show up, I show up to hunt, and I want to have a lot to hunt.
Yeah, that's true, and that's actually, you don't get cold down. Like you get warmed up, and then you get into your groove, and then there's not a lot of lag time in between. You know what I mean? Like you're going.
I mean, we do so many rounds, every night, so many rounds, so many minutes, in sparring, and you go out and you do, 1 5-minute or 8-minute or 10-minute match. And it's like, well, competition day is almost easy compared to the way we train. So why wouldn't I want some more matches?
Right. 100. Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Which I was thinking about this. So you train like you compete in a way, right? Mm-hmm. You guys do. Both Chad and Clay, you guys do the same thing, right, Clay?
Yeah.
At your gym.
You should.
Yes and no. Like, I think that you 100% will perform the way that you train. So if you expect to compete a certain way, you should mold your training around that. But we're very specific with our training, and we've started to kind of revamp the way that my gym, like Triangle Academy in particular, trains. I don't know how long you have, but I have, I could go on a rant about this.
Go for it,
dude. Go for it, because the information, what it's like. In our goal here at Limitless Radio is giving jiu-jitsu information to people so they can understand all different aspects and not just be like, here it is and it's so awesome. You know what I mean? Because it is. We love it.
Sure.
But there are aspects to be smart and to do things a right and wrong way, because you can end up not doing it very long.
Sure. And so I'll preface what I'm about to say by saying that this is just my opinion. And furthermore, I don't even know entirely where you guys stand or how you train or anyone listening to this. So just take it all with a big old grain of salt. But I think that the jiu-jitsu community trains in a very unprofessional way, and that compared to wrestling and judo, which are Olympic sports, jiu-jitsu guys are amateurs. And most jiu-jitsu people are pussies. They train soft. They're not disciplined. They don't train hard, and they don't approach their training like professionals. And so what I've tried to do, I'm in pretty tight with the Fuji guys, with Jimmy Pedro and Travis Stevens. Jimmy Pedro has coached every Olympic judo champion the U.S. has ever produced. And so I've talked with them and with others from the Olympic wrestling facility and people that are training on that Olympic level, and just try to create a program that mimics that ability of, like, how do we not just have a couple talented athletes that rise to the surface, but how do we have a program that consistently produces results? And one of the things that I'm trying to avoid is, you can, and Chad, I'm sure you've seen this as a coach, you can show up to the gym for years and years and still suck. Like, people can still show up and just not be getting better. or marginally be getting better, but they're not really, improving. And then also just the way we train focus around, like, the culture of our gym is not that jiu-jitsu is for everyone. I don't believe that any more than I think running track or playing ping pong is for everyone. Yep. Jiu-jitsu is a sport for people that want to train hard and want to dedicate a lot of blood, sweat, and tears to jiu-jitsu. And so I tell everyone coming into my gym, you don't have to be a full-time athlete or, in great shape to join my gym, but this is a gym for professional athletes. And if you come into the training room, I expect two things of you. I expect you to be a good teammate for people around you, and I'll expect 100% of your effort in every training session. And your effort level, I'll tell the students your effort level may be different than mine and different than the coaches, but whatever your best is, I'm going to expect it of you. And so everyone coming into the training room understands that, and then we uphold that high standard of, like, professional competition in every class. And so to go back to the way that the training works and trying to structure our training in a professional way, most jiu-jitsu guys, myself included, for years, I would go and compete, and I would just, win some matches, lose some matches, and then I would just go back to the training room and, like, nose to the grindstone, and I would just think, well, I'll keep coming to class, I'll keep training, and eventually whatever holes I have in my game, I'll fill. But what an intentional professional competitor does is they go and they compete, and then they have film on their matches. They come back and they study it, and they say, hey, I lost this match because of this grip or because I got out scrambled in this position. And they study specifically to fill those holes. And then they go and they compete with specific milestones. Like, I'm just going to initiate a throw off this left-hand grip, or I'm just going to pass guard to this one side, and whatever else happens, it's a lower level tournament. I don't care if I win or I lose, because the goal isn't to win everything. The goal is to win the big ones. So we take our training. We have, like, our professional training squad. We do pro training. It's invitation only at a certain time in the morning. And we take skill progressions, like 4 to 6 weeks. We'll just develop a certain skill, lasso passing, or, finishing single legs, or whatever it is. And then we'll pick a low level tournament, and we'll go and we'll write down specific goals to benchmark how we're improving in those skills. And we have all the tournaments on the circuit, you know, designated like an A-level tournament, B-level tournament, all the way down to a D-level. And then we don't sweat winning the D and the B-level tournaments. You know, we're just there to win Pans and Worlds. I have a lot of the same guys, especially like the higher up in the ranks. So you fight a lot of the same guys at all the tournaments. I'd rather lose to someone in Nashville and in Atlanta and Dallas, and then beat them at Pans the only time it really matters. So that's kind of some of my thoughts about how we try to approach jiu-jitsu training a little more professionally and a little more like judo and wrestling do instead of the jiu-jitsu community. That was a lot of words.
It was awesome.
No, that's awesome.
Yeah, it was super awesome. So I'm going to unpack some of this because I want to ask some stuff about it.
Sure. I
love this approach because Chad and I have had these conversations many, many times. We had a good friend on, George Gurgel, a while back who fought in UFC for a while and stuff, really good at jiu-jitsu and whatnot. And he said, you know, his approach was, because we used to ask people like all the time, do you think jiu-jitsu is for everybody? Mm-hmm. And it's not that jiu-jitsu is for everybody. Chad, what is it?
Everybody's not for jiu-jitsu.
Yes, everybody's not for jiu-jitsu.
So it can be for everybody, right?
It can be, but so me hearing you talk about that description, Clay, first of all, you definitely are where you're supposed to be as a coach. You should be a coach for sure, because it's that approach of what you're willing to show people. They have to buy into it and they have to understand that. But your approach right there is amazing. Like, I love it because I know you're younger and, you know, whatever. I have to say I'm younger. I think I'm like an ancient. So my wife says, she's like, my God, you act like you're 80 years old. I was like, I am. I feel like it some days from all my old injury sports stuff. But who was your inspiration to like come up with that, like that coaching?
Sure. So there have been the two main influences in how, like, what that conversation we just had. The first influence was Heath Pedigo and Andrew. So like the Pedego style training of just gritting it out and training hard and, you know, thousands of reps and just the hard training came from Heath and the Pedego room. And then the smart approach came from Travis Stevens. Travis has been a huge influence in how I've structured my training. So a lot of what I've learned, you know, I learned everything from Andrew. Like Heath is my coach, but Heath hasn't actually taught me a lot of jiu-jitsu. Andrew's has been like the mad scientist behind all of my jiu-jitsu. And so Andrew's taught me everything. Heath influenced the way that we train. And then Travis Stevens has come in and really been a big influence on, like, here's how you structure your training. Because you know, we're here 4 hours from our team headquarters and we go up and train at Daisy Fresh and they come down here sometimes, but there's not a lot of guidance about like, hey, you need to get better at this specific thing, or you need to, you know, structure your rounds this way. That's all me, you know, and it's kind of like an individual little jiu-jitsu island. So Travis provided some much needed insight into that. And my vision as a gym, you know, has always been that I wanted to take the hardness of the Daisy Fresh, like the intensity, and then match it with training smart. Because I think you can train balls to the wall and still not be very good. And I think you can also train really smart and still be a pussy. And so I think, you know, we wanted to take the hard training and the smart training and put it together at Triangle Academy. And that's what I'm trying to do.
Yeah. I don't think you're trying, and you are.
You got good guys like Jonathan Hart and Chuck Bailey, and we're creating a team of monsters.
That's awesome, dude. That's awesome. How many students do you guys have? Do you have?
220 this morning.
Awesome, brother. Dang, man. That's
awesome,
so awesome. Yeah. It's so awesome to hear. I always ask those numbers, not just because to see where the community is growing. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Because jiu-jitsu is becoming so, I don't know how to state it because I don't look outside anymore I'm like, I'm in the family, like I'm in the jiu-jitsu community now. So I kind of look at it like that. Cause at first I didn't know that it wasn't small, so to speak, compared to other things. And like you said, like judo, and you know, you're a black belt in judo, and is that community, would you say that community is pretty big, or is it kind of the same?
Judo is very small in the U.S.
In the U.S., right? Okay.
Outside of the U.S., judo is the second most widely played sport in the world behind soccer.
Wow.
And most people in America don't realize that, but it's huge everywhere else in the world, but it's really small in America. And wrestling is big in America. And wrestling is, as I understand it, it's kind of behind judo in most of the rest of the world, but it's flipped in America.
Wow. Okay. That's interesting, man. What got you? So when you started, like, was judo like your first? Did you wrestle?
I didn't.
Oh, okay.
Picked up the years along the way.
I was going to say, because anyone out there go and watch Clay's matches, he wrestles, you wrestle, and I always look and go, he's got a lot of wrestling. Because, there are guys in jiu-jitsu who you see it, but it's sloppier. It's a wrestle, but it's kind of sloppy. And you're like, when I see guys do certain things in wrestling or a wrestle during a match, I'm like, ooh, Eric got pretty good skill. Like, that's good. Nice. But
I appreciate that. I mean, honestly, my judo and my wrestling are pretty bad. It's just that everyone else really sucks at takedowns.
It's just the other side.
Yeah. I mean,
I always hear that too.
I posted something on my Instagram today because someone asked me that question, and I gave that reply, and it's like that old quote that in the land of the blind, the one-eyed man is king.
Yeah.
I'm not very good at judo, and I never wrestle. Everyone else is terrible.
Awesome.
That's what was it last year, 2020? Yeah, we had Wiltsy in for a seminar.
Nice.
And, obviously, awesome dude, and very passionate about jiu-jitsu, and just, man. But he was talking about how he likes takedowns, but he pulls guard because everybody else sucks at passing. So he would rather that was his theory, right? It's kind of same thing.
Yeah, it's there's a lot of low hanging fruit out there. And as far as like the takedowns and the judo, the club that I started at was a pretty shitty gym. It was just like not very high level and no cross training or anything like that. And they had a judo class that they started like as soon as I began the jiu-jitsu program. So I started both concurrently, and I did them both there for about 7 years. I got my black belt in judo, but I never competed in judo. I never trained judo anywhere except that one club. And it was just kind of like, here's judo as a part of like jiu-jitsu takedowns.
Okay.
I mean, the judo coach is pretty decent, but I never was active on the judo circuit or had exposure like that. And so then when I opened Triangle and I brought Travis in for a judo clinic, he does every year. He does like a judo weekend camp.
Oh, nice.
And I'd been doing judo for 10 years at that point. And then he grabbed me and I was like, I don't know a fucking thing.
He's on a different level too with judo.
Dude, have you met Travis? Or
I've never met him, no, but I know about him and seen things, listened to him on other podcasts and stuff. So
yeah. Man, just like he told me to grab a grip, and I tried and did what what I've always done, and he was like, well, that's not how you grip the sleeve. And I'm like, well fuck me then, because like I just don't know anything. And so back to the most basic off balances and throws that I thought I knew, and it just kind of unpacked it. It'd be like if you thought you learned jiu-jitsu from VHS tapes, and then you come in and you like grapple with an actual coach in person. So I don't really even advertise that I have like a judo black belt anymore, because now that I've trained with actual judo guys, I don't want to be disrespectful, to them. Sure. It's like, I know some judo throws and I can hit some throws, but I have to go back and like put the white belt on and re-earn that if I want to really claim that.
Sure. Yeah. No need to. You're perfectly fine where you're at.
Oh, thanks.
Kicking butt and taking names. And you watch any of the ADCC?
Yeah, the trials.
Yeah.
I followed them pretty closely. We had a couple teammates in there.
Yeah, yeah. Jacob did really good.
He did.
Yeah, he did good. Tough opponents, but this. I mean, it's part of what it is. So
yeah, there was so much talent stacked in those brackets this year.
Yeah, it's crazy to have 800, almost 800, just trial like people in like that registered to compete, like to punch a ticket. It's like, oh man, that is the most ever, isn't it? I think.
By a long shot.
But yeah. And that's the East Coast trials, right? So
they'll
still have a West Coast trial, which will probably be bigger, I would assume.
I imagine it'll be a bunch of the same people trying to go a little further in brackets.
That too, yeah.
That's what I was gonna say. Can you because I don't know this, so I'm gonna ask you guys, my experts. Now that they competed today, I mean, they can do that, right? They can go out west and compete again, like to try to.
Yep, just the guys that took first and second place get invites, so everyone else can go compete again.
Nice. Okay. So first and second get invites to next year's World Championship, ADCC Championship. Okay. I didn't know second place did. Okay.
There's, as I understand it, there are 20 people per weight class in the ADCC Championships, and there's 8 qualifiers, 2 on each continent. And so like East Coast and West Coast trials, 2 Asian qualifiers, 2 European, and 2 South American. And you can only compete in the trials of whatever continent you live in. And then there's 2 winners at each trial. So 4 per continent times 4, that's 16 people that qualify by the trials. And then there's 4 invites every year, probably like the previous champions and so forth.
Yeah.
So 16 qualifiers through the trials and 4 invites. So it's 20 people per weight class.
Nice. Still a lot of, I mean, that's a lot. It's a huge amount. I was telling Chad before you came in and stuff, I've never got to watch like that format, the ADC old videos, you know what I mean? Like older stuff or whatever last year or whatnot. But like today, like to see it and watch what I was watching, I love the format. I was like, wow, I really like this format. It's just different because the matches weren't like 25 minutes long in terms of going, I don't really know what's going on right now. It was like quick and guys had to work really hard right away and go. And I was like, ooh, I like this. This is kind of nice.
Yeah, it was exciting.
Good stuff. Yeah. Good jiu-jitsu too. For no-gi, which I suck at, but I wrestled, but it doesn't matter. Like I suck. I'm too old for no-gi. It's too fast. I need the gi to hold on to people.
Do you prefer the gi?
I do, because I just don't train a lot in no-gi. Being older, I love no-gi because I love the workout aspect. So I would be more considered, I would like to just get grimy. Like I love to work out. Like you could be like, hey, we're going to the gym. And I'd be like, hey, all right, tell my wife and kids be back in 2-3 hours and just do it. And I used to do that regularly all the time and never cared. Always kind of been that way. So when I go to no-gi, I love it. But then at the other time I'm going against younger guys and I'm like, I'm really slow. My no-gi jiu-jitsu is not really good.
Yeah.
Just faster pace, right?
Just faster pace, yeah.
I feel I'm 46. I turned 46 in September.
Aging like fine bourbon.
Yeah. So it's my 17th year of jiu-jitsu. So as I get older, I feel I like gi better, probably for the same reason Terry says. But, I think for me, no-gi is a necessary thing too, right? It's all jiu-jitsu. We're going to do it either way. I might complain about it a little more, just because I feel like I get beat up a little bit more in no-gi. But I'm smaller too. I'm 6'1" and 150 pounds, so.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So, just got to play a different game. Got to be a little tighter. And, it's the only time I really close my guard is when I play no-gi. Try to get him in closed guard. You know what I mean? I like collar sleeve and a lot of open guard stuff. So, in no-gi, it's a little trickier, but.
Yes,
for sure.
Yeah. When he's in the gi's tripod sweeping me like 100 times and
all day,
a 6-minute round. Hey, you want to roll? Like, sweet. No tripod sweeps. Like, I'm like, no, no.
Gotta have your bread and butter.
Yes.
Yep.
I know. Everyone always jokes too. They're like, man, Chad does lanky legs, tripod sweep you. I'm like, well, so yeah, what's what he goes to? I'm just going to have to start rolling with him no-gi. I'm 220. I'm 6'1", 6'2", around there, and I'm 220, 215.
Hey, you can't get swept if you pull first.
Right. See, I know. That's what he said that before.
But you can get past. You can get past.
Get past. Yeah. Right. How about you, Clay? Like, do you like both pretty much equal?
Man, I love both. I suck far less in the gi. I'll always do both. I'll always compete in both, but my skill level is much better in the gi.
Sure.
I enjoy them pretty much equally though.
Okay.
They're good. I mean, they're both quality, and it's both. You can't go wrong. If you're doing one or the other, you're still going to learn phenomenal moves and phenomenal techniques of jiu-jitsu, and it's very translatable. It's just grips are different, obviously, as you know, and sometimes you have to make up for that, like whatever you're going to do. But,
horses of a different color.
Yeah.
Are the trials something you're going to go for, Clay?
Man, interesting you asked that. I am realistic about the difference in the skill level between my gi and my no gi. Okay. So I haven't really been planning on it. I mean, I do Nogi Worlds and Nogi Pans and that kind of thing.
Sure.
I haven't really been planning on doing trials, but watching the East Coast trials, I saw 2 guys that I had beaten the brakes off of make it to the second day. Won their first 3 or 4 matches, and I was like, fuck, I should have done trials. I very well may do East Coast trials. Now, having said that, the skill difference between like the first 3 matches and the last 2 matches, like the quarters and semis, that's a big jump. But I mean, I will probably do West Coast trials. That's awesome.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Good. Yeah, don't sell yourself short, man.
Yeah, we had Dante Leone in for a seminar years ago, or a couple years ago, and it was before he did ADCC last time, and he said the good thing about ADCC is I don't have to have good jiu-jitsu. I just need foot lock defense and wrestle a little bit. Yep.
Right? He's not far off.
He's not far off. He's also a savage though too.
I was gonna say he's
all right at that whole jiu-jitsu thing.
Yeah.
And now he's our teammate, so
that's awesome.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that is awesome. Very cool, man. Have you got to do you get to roll with him much?
Oh, I got to roll with him once at Nogi Worlds.
One time way back. No, I'm just kidding. It was short, short and to the point. So at that Nogi Worlds, I got my black belt, and then this was probably 4 weeks ago now. It was right before he officially joined the team. He and his boys have been coming back training for like 2 years now. So I knew it was just a matter of time. But they hadn't made the official announcement. I got the black belt, and I went to being like the bottom seat. And so he was the reigning world champion. And so I was on his side of the bracket, and I tapped my first match, and then he was my second match, and he made short work of me. And then like 2 days later, officially joined the team and whatnot. So now we'll be on opposite sides. Opposite sides. Yeah. That's awesome. Yeah.
No, but he's awesome, man. I'd love to be able to train with him more.
You'll get to now, right?
Well, it was never a matter of the team or not. I just never was up at headquarters at the same time.
Yeah. That's hard to work out, especially you guys. I mean, you're traveling constantly. If you're not competing somewhere, it's like, how many seminars are you doing now? Do you get to do?
I don't teach as many seminars. I used to do a lot. I don't teach as many just because it's not as within my interest to disrupt my training and my gym schedule. I'll probably do another seminar tour sometime this year, but it used to be I'm not doing anything this weekend. I'll go teach a seminar. And now it's like I have training with my squad, and I have running the business and stuff like that.
Yeah, I was gonna say
it's priorities, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I mean it's not even
right now.
Not even a matter of money. I mean, I could go teach a seminar and make a little more money than I would sitting in town, but it's like I'm invested in my training and in my team and that kind of thing.
And that's the right thing to do. I mean, in your position that you're at, you're like, hey, I'm invested in what is at the forefront of my life and career right now, like what I'm doing, So
totally. And awesome. We travel like every third weekend to compete anyway. So
yeah. You guys travel. You guys drive a lot or you guys fly? Depends.
If it's within 4 or 5 hours, we'll usually drive.
Nice.
Further than that, we'll fly.
Smart. There comes a cutoff, and it was funny because we were a few hours away, and we were last night in a tournament that we were at, and we were driving home, another buddy of ours, and we were talking about that very thing, and I was like, "There's a cutoff." Like I was like, "There's a cutoff."
The cutoff keeps getting like shorter and shorter and shorter the longer I compete. Because I can't tell you how many times, Chad, you've probably been here too. We used to drive 8 or 10 hours out to Oklahoma or somewhere to compete, and I think it was the last time we drove to Springfield, Missouri, and it was like 8 hours for a tournament and a seminar. And I just remember thinking, I will never do this again.
I'm done. Yeah.
I always hated the drive to Chicago. Chicago just seemed like, what is it, 6 hours, Terry? 6.5?
It is, and there's a time change.
There's a time change.
So it kind of messes you up a little bit.
Especially, and the way home's always the worst. It's like, I could fly here in like 50 minutes.
Right.
Less than an hour. Right. Less than an hour, I could be in Chicago.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. That's crazy. What was your passion for opening the Triangle Academy?
All right. Someone asked me this week, and I had to tell them what I'm going to tell you. I don't want to sound conceited when I say this, but I'm just going to be honest. I could do it better. Sure. I just knew that I could do it better than what I saw. There's 3 components to having a gym. One of the things that I do is I do coaching for other gym owners on how to run their martial arts gyms. And so I tell them those like 3 things. You have to be really good at Jiu-Jitsu. You have to be really good at teaching, and you have to be really good at the business side. And most people are good at one of those 3 things, and they open a gym. And I'm very good at all 3. Just, like I said, not trying to be cocky, but just the simple truth is I'm a very good coach. I'm very good at jiu-jitsu, and I'm very good at the organization running a gym. And there was a couple years where I just spent a lot of time traveling, competing, and, training around the world. And everywhere I went, I had a notebook, and I would just write down everything I liked and everything I didn't like about the gyms. And so I got a very clear picture of what I wanted, down from the water fountains and the seating to how the students check in, to how the classes were scheduled, and everything in between. And, I just realized like I can do this better than most people are doing it. And I just had a certain passion for how to train that was shaped by Heath and, by these guys. And it was like, I want to foster my individual expression of jiu-jitsu, and I can do a better job. And I see guys all the time that are like, maybe a guy that's a stud competitor, but then you go to his gym and you're like, you're doing 15 things wrong and it's so unprofessional. Or see someone who's killing it and they've got a bunch of students and a great facility, and you just think, you suck balls. Like this isn't right. And so, I was good at all 3, and I wanted to have my own thing.
It's awesome. For sure. And you don't sound egotistical or conceited at all, because you said, I went places and I wrote notes. So you put your legwork in. You put work in. It's not like you just woke up someday and you were like, bam, bam, bam. I got this. You guys all suck. Watch. You worked for it, man. Like you did note taking, research. You put yourself in a good position. You got a right mindset to be successful and not just like wing it. And sometimes Chad and I've had these conversations, and he knows how I speak. I speak like this a lot to people in terms of telling them, if you do the right thing in terms of knowing and pushing yourself forward and be successful, you can do that. Like you can do it the way that you're doing it, because you're not going to allow someone take it away from you. You're going to continuously study. You're going to make changes when they need to be made to be successful. You're not just going to keep hammering a nail forward to go, oh, I can do this. And when you're really not, you know what I mean?
Yeah. You talk a lot like Jocko Willink, just the things you say, the inflections of your voice, you sound like you got some Jocko in there.
People, it's funny because for a lot of my life, people were always like, I was super shy, like when I was younger and stuff, and I played sports and all that. And everyone's like, you should be a coach. This is how you do things. And like, I teach my kids the same exact thing. And I've coached them in the past. They don't really like dad coaching them too often because I don't give favoritism. It's like, you're all the same to me. Like you're my child, but still they do the same. But I've always talked this way. And people are like, man, were you in the military? Like if they meet me now, they're like, were you in the military? Like, and I go, no, I grew up really rough. I had a super kind of hard childhood. So I got to see a lot of things. I went through a lot of, to say trials in life. And so it's put me to the point to where I'm like, there are important things. And I want people to understand that they can be very successful, but they have to want to be successful and they have to do the right things to do it. And you can't just expect things. Like some people are like, oh, well, I prayed for it. Well, did you act on it? Did you do anything? Like, or did you just hope? Like, because that's not going to work. Like, it doesn't work that way. Like, you got to put in the work and the legwork and surround yourself with good people, people who are going to challenge you. Like, my way of saying it, and Chad's heard me say this before, I'm going on a long rant here, but like people at your table, you got people that sit at your table. So you have someone who challenges you, someone who loves you, someone who's going to push you, someone who's going to make you angry, but they're still going to be there for you all the time. Like there are people that are going to be there, and there are only so much room at a table. Yeah. So, amen. You know what I mean? Like you tell people, I'm sorry. Like I don't tell people, oh, you don't have room at my table, but I do tell people when they got a seat at my table. I'm like, you got a seat at my table, because they're going to make me better as I'm going to make them better. That's my goal. You know what I mean?
that's how I approach the students too. Like, you know, we already talked about how I decided like a long time ago that this isn't a gym for everyone. This is a gym for people who have the same vision and work ethic and attitude that we have, because, you know, I'm not going to have 1,000 students. I don't want 1,000 students, and I can't handle 1,000 students. You know, we can have a few hundred, you know, 300 or 400. But it's like, I can only invest in so many people at once. And so when someone leaves, you know, like every school has turnover. Sure. And whenever someone cancels or leaves or whatever, like I always, you know, that Jocko, you know, good. And I tell myself that when someone leaves, I say good. It makes room for someone better, you know, and they may be an awesome student. It's not like we're cussing them behind their back. It may be an awesome student and I want them to come back, but I have to project that attitude of good. Yeah. It makes room for someone better. The next kid walking in the doors could be the next Humberto Jimenez or the next Andrew Wiltsey, you know, and we have to make room at our table, like you said.
Yeah. And there's, I like that a lot. Yeah. It's a great attitude. And for me, you know, from a student standpoint, and that's like for Chad, that was really good for you too, man. Like to look at it like that, like good. Now I just got a slot opened up for someone else that I can teach good jiu-jitsu to, and good luck to them. Go on about you, do your thing. But I got someone new that's going to come through the door and they want to learn and they want to be successful. You know, absolutely. That's awesome. So this side note just made me think about when you brought up Andrew. So when he came to the seminar, I rolled with him, and this is, you know, months after starting as a white belt, like world champion. I was just like, sure. And he's a great guy. Like I was like, hey, you can roll, like, you know, 30 seconds later, it was over. And then like we sat and talked and we were just talking about things. And we were talking yesterday, and they were like, a couple of the other guys like, oh, you rolled with Andrew? And I was like, yeah. I was like, I just went up to him and was like, hey man, you want to roll? Like I knew the outcome, but I was like, I just want to do it. Like he's here. He's a great dude. Like, let's just do it. And I was like, they're like, what happened? And I told him, you know, boom, 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 switched and back, took my bag. It was over. I was like, the best thing, he was like, and I told Jonathan too, I was like, I got the old man strength comment. And he was like, you got old man strength. I was like, that's the only way I'm going to survive right now. and I still didn't. I was like, 30 seconds? That's pretty good. I was like, I never did this before. 29. Right. I was like, could have been 29. Took the bag, got a collar choke, and I was like, boom. Very nice about it. Didn't like, you know, kill me, and because he knew. So yeah, it was good.
Well, let me tell you from experience, it wouldn't have mattered if you were a few months in or 10 years in or whatever. It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah, he just goes.
No one's ever beaten me like Andrew's beaten me. Like I've been training with the dude for at least 5 years, maybe 6 years now, you know, cross training at least, and doing some with him and rolling with him, and been on the team for 4 years now. I've scored points on him twice. Man. I've submitted him 4 times. And we're talking like to 10,000 times he's tapped me. 3 were like bullshit toe holds when he was like bowling. I just grabbed his foot, flying triangle him 1 time, and he's tapped me like 10,000 times. And I don't even care about like the taps, because it's a lot easier to catch a fast submission on someone than it is to like pass their guard or take, you know. Only times I've ever scored points on him were like in the same week. I blast doubled him while he had a herniated disc and he couldn't bend over, so but I've never scored on a healthy Andrew. I've never caught like a submission I felt like really good about, you know. And people don't understand like how good he is, and the level between him. You know, you got Mika Galvao, Andrew Tackett, just a few like the 100 guys at the top are so much better than the 10,000 guys underneath them that people don't understand.
Yeah. And it's awesome that you state it that way, because we've had those conversations before. There's a gap. Like all these guys are good. Nothing against them. I mean, could just destroy a lot of people. You know what I mean? But there's that group up here where he's at, and they're good. Like just unbelievably good.
Well, I mean, we just Clay just touched on that earlier with ADCC. Those first few matches are a lot different than them last few.
Right? Exactly. Yeah.
I mean, there's levels upon levels,
which makes jiu-jitsu so awesome.
Yeah. And that's what my first experience with Pedego. You know, I spent 7 or 8 years at these low level Royce Gracie bullshit gyms, just learning stupid techniques that would never work in a fight, and having, you know, coaches that told me we were the greatest thing since sliced bread, but don't go cross train, you know, and like just super toxic bullshit environment. Nice people, but terrible jiu-jitsu. And after, you know, passing out belts and stripes like candy, and after I got like to almost a brown belt, I was like a 3-stripe purple belt when I first heard about this PSF gym. and I would go compete at some of the local tournaments, like some Fujis and stuff. And, you know, they told us to stay away from my BJJF because it was just where the dirty point fighters went to, and just stupid shit. But I thought I was kind of hot shit because I was coaching full time and I was winning these local tournaments. And then I went and trained at PSF. Heath used to tag all the local guys in like Facebook posts, like, "Hey, open mat at PSF at, you know, Friday at 1, come train."
Nice.
And finally I took him up. I'd heard about him through like the local community. And one of the Gracie gyms was like 30 minutes away from Mount Vernon. So I went and I trained. And they had told me there was this one kid there who was really good. And it turned out to be Andrew. And he had just gotten his blue belt. And this was before the Daisy Fresh location. We were like, we were in like a roll-up garage door, or they, you know, they were. And it was Andrew and a few other guys. And there was this poster in the dingy, you know, like the dingy locker rooms of Alexander Carlin, that Greco-Roman wrestler.
Oh yeah. I know
there was a poster of him in the locker rooms, and it scared the shit out of me. And and then I rolled with Andrew, and we went like a 5-minute round, and he passed my guard and tapped me like probably 20 times. I'm not even exaggerating. It was probably 20 times in 5 minutes. And it just like, I couldn't believe it. And I if my life had depended on it, I could not have put him in my close guard. He just didn't let me get connections, you know, same as he does to me now. And I remember asking him, he just like did the X pass, you know, just kick his leg and push my leg to the side over and over. And I remember asking him, like, have you drilled that before? And he said, I've probably done that 100,000 times. And I was like, oh, okay, so you guys are for real. And like, there's something else going on here. And then I went back and told my coach, and he gave me a bunch of bullshit reasons about, oh, well, that's because they're sport fighters. You know, you'd probably kick his ass in a street fight. No, I don't think so. He tapped me out a lot. He could have started punching me. You know?
Right? Yeah, he wasn't even hitting me. He was just doing jiu-jitsu.
Like, you know, all the bullshit that those self-defense gyms feed you. But anyway, like that was my first exposure to PSF. Was like the high rep drilling and just the utterly dominating me. And then I ended up still getting my brown belt from the other gym, and occasionally dropping in and like doing privates with Andrew for like a year. And then over a long process, I ended up just getting so tired of getting my ass kicked. I was like, this has got to stop. I got to get better, and switched over to Pedego.
Nice.
That's awesome. So here's something I want to touch on so it doesn't get lost.
Sure.
And it speaks to the character of you, Clay, is you found this guy who was a lower rank than you, and you recognized what he had, and you paid him for private lessons. That to me speaks volumes of you as a person, because that doesn't, you don't, you know, if it happens, people don't talk about it. You know what I mean? So I just want to say that's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, thanks, man. I appreciate that. It was one of those things where like you could turn a blind eye to it, but you would still know, you know, you still know.
Oh yeah,
sure.
You sucked.
Yeah.
And I just was so embarrassed by it that I figured the only way for that not to keep happening was to like suck it up, Buttercup, and just learn.
Suck it up. Yeah,
absolutely.
And Andrew started charging me $20 an hour, which is, you know, it's like funny now. But my rate, like I taught at that time, I was teaching jiu-jitsu full time, and I would charge like, you know, whatever the rate the gym was that had me charge, it was like $75 an hour. So I'd pay him $20 an hour, and then I'd be going teaching, and I wasn't teaching the stuff he was teaching me because I sucked at it, but I was teaching, you know, whatever bullshit they were teaching me, I was teaching for like $75 an hour and then paying him $20 an hour. And I kept telling him, you got to charge more than this, but, he finally started charging more, but for a year, yeah, we were doing $20 an hour, and I dreaded it. I would go up once a week, and I dreaded it because he'd always ask me to roll afterwards. And it was in the middle of the day. It was like Wednesdays at noon, and there was no one in the gym but he and his brother Bird, you know, and they were super nice, but they would do like 40 minutes of technique and then want to roll for 20 minutes and just like, you know, I kind of had to bite the pillow, and it was just like really, you know, embarrassing and like painful. And then I finally had a buddy, one of the other guys from the Gracie gym that liked to compete. My buddy Ben started going up there with me, and then once I had a friend, it got a lot easier. And then eventually I started going to their open mats too. And I for like a year, Andrew invited me to come to open mat, and I kept making excuses. And then I just finally went one time, and I got curb stomped, but everyone was so nice about it. I was like, oh, I can just, you know,
you can do this.
I can take my licks, you know, and it'll get better.
That's what makes it awesome about places like that, and the respect, and they want you to get better. They're not there. They don't want you just to come in and suck. They want you to be better, you know?
Well, that's it. These coaches that these insecure coaches that don't want their students to cross train will always tell people things like, oh, everyone else is just out to hurt you, or you know, they don't have a vested interest. They just want to come and roll with everyone and hurt everyone and then leave, or some bullshit like that. I heard that a dozen times, you know, growing up. And that's not the truth of it. Like, people want, like you said, they want you to get better.
Yeah. In the jiu-jitsu community, for sure. Like, sorry, Clay, not to cut you off, but like,
no,
I talk about that. Like, guys that walk in the gym, like I tell new guys that come in all the time, I'm like, everyone here, like, we'll roll. We know more. Like, we know certain things. Like, hey, you want to roll? Yeah. I'm going to practice like stuff I know that I'm trying to learn. And this guy's not going to know anything. He's going to spaz out a little bit or whatever. But at the end, it's like, I want you to be good at this. I want you coming back. I want you to succeed at this, man, because you were here. You came through the door. Jiu-jitsu is not easy. It's hard.
Yeah.
And it takes a lot of mental ability to get past that. You know what I mean? Like, you know what it's like, like the nerves and all that stuff. It's like, oh crap, I've never done this in my life, or I've never been in a fight or anything. Like, I'm going to go in here and this dude's going to like kind of beat me up. you know?
That was the biggest thing that was different to me going into the Pedego training environment and like the PSF open mats and stuff, was that I was used to, like, I mean, fuck, we didn't even go over, like, I didn't know how the points worked. I'd been training for like 8 years. I didn't know how the points worked. But once I even filled those basic holes, it was just like, I was used to like doing a takedown and someone would fall over and I got on top, or I got the takedown. And then when you go into like a real training environment, like PSF was the first one for me, it was like, you throw someone and then they sprawl, and, you know, and you shoot and they reshoot, and then you pin them down and they scramble and they get an underhook and they wrestle up. And it's like, fuck, it's like the 5th or 6th time I finally might get them down. It's like people fight so fucking hard not to get scored on. It's like a battle to the death for every score and every advantage, instead of people just laying down and dying for you.
Right.
And that's, you know, that makes a difference. People get tired just trying to score on you. And I just wasn't used to that intensity. And that's how, going back to your original statement about you compete how you train, like, that's how it has to be.
100%. There was a guy yesterday at the in a nogi match, and they went several overtime. I wanted to say they were in their 3rd overtime, so they're almost at a 30-minute nogi match. Local, you know, guys are going at it. The guy that won, awesome, man. He walks off and he's like, "That's why I say cardio matters." And I was like,
"Yep,
you got it." I just like fist bumped him, you know, like, and a bunch of people around, and I was like, he ain't lying. I'm like, because if you can keep going, you can tell the other dude's legs started getting tired, wobbly, you know, and they were smaller guys, you know, middleweight, whatever, like maybe 130, 140 size, but still, I was like, dude,
all this bullshit about like size and strength don't matter. Eat a dick.
Yeah, like, it matters. It matters.
Yeah. Look at Olympic wrestlers and tell me that they don't condition. You know, it's like,
right.
Yeah. Being strong, being explosive, being able to lift weights, being able to run, cardio, like flexibility, all of it matters. And people get caught up in jiu-jitsu because it's such a finesse art. They get caught up so much in the technique, and technique is king for sure. But you take good technique and you put power and explosiveness and cardio behind it, and you have a machine. And, you know, it's like this analogy of like, okay, you run into a brick wall, and what do? Well, the jiu-jitsu approach is to go and find the back door or find a ladder and climb over. It's the technique. Well, sometimes the answer is you find a goddamn sledgehammer and you break the wall down.
You know, just break through it. Right?
Like, sometimes you have to overcome it with overwhelming physicality and aggression. And that's what jiu-jitsu, like a lot of jiu-jitsu people, don't approach it with that intensity because they get caught up in the finesse. And you got to marry that technique with some power and aggression and explosiveness, in my opinion.
Yeah. And Chad, like coaching me, he would be like, there's points where you need to be aggressive and you dictate the flow and you be powerful. Like, you use your strength and your weight and everything at this point, you know, and you don't have to do that 100 million miles an hour the entire match, but you can, you know, when you have to do it and use it. Yeah.
Like the part about being mature in the art is learning when to explode, you know, so you don't just explode randomly for no reason and waste your energy. But yeah, you take two guys that know equal amounts, but one of them can go 100 miles an hour the entire match. He's going to beat the brakes off the other dude.
Sure. Absolutely. Right. Yeah. Yeah. Watching guys like that, like you guys going forever and not being tired. I'm like, wow. How old are you, Clay?
I'm 28.
Okay.
But I decided I'm not passing 25. Like, in my head.
That's cool.
25.
That's it. It's my new motto too. I'm stealing that from you, brother. Because
25 for life.
That's it.
Dude, I've never taken better care of myself, slept better, eaten better, worked out better. I've never been able to train harder. Like I feel like I'm aging in reverse. So I'm pretty happy with it.
Nice.
But what were we just talking about? The technique and
like being hard, like going hard and being in that.
Oh yeah. You were saying how we can like go forever. Everyone thinks I have amazing cardio, but dude, the truth is I just have a good poker face. I get just as tired as everyone else. I can just hide it for like a little longer. That's all.
Sure. And that there's actually truth to that. And there's key to it. And Chad and I are big fans of David Goggins. You know who David Goggins is? Who, he's like a machine. Oh, does he really?
Yeah, he lives I'm in Franklin, and he lives up in Brentwood, Kentucky, or Tennessee.
Oh, okay. His motto is like, there's always that little bit more, or get into the cookie jar. Like you dig something out of the cookie jar to take you to the next level. My wife runs. All right. Like I used to run all the time. I used to be a big time runner. She's running now. She's running a lot. She ran a 10K today. She took first place.
Wow.
And she comes home like all the time, like all this, everyone's like, man, like last weekend we ran, she took a second place and a first place. So in her age group. Well, and I tell her, I'm like, I always tease her because there's a couple different people that come now to all these races. And she's like, I always see those girls. And I'm like, you get in the cookie jar? Like, did you dig into the cookie jar? And you're like, yep. I picked out something and I said, that girl right there's mine. And then, she just puts a hammer down and goes. And I'll tell her like last week. Yeah. So, and that's what you do. Like, there is a real mindset to that of doing that to other people. Even when you're competing, it's like, I'm not tired. I might be tired, but I'm not tired. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
it's like that, a blood or a shark smelling the blood in the water. When you hear them start to breathe heavy, or you hear that long exhale, and you're like, I just broke you, motherfucker.
Yeah.
Like,
take their soul, like you said. Like, and that's what like David says all the time, take their soul. It's always like, now granted, now David's on a different level of everything of workout wise. Like it's a little
he's a special kind of sadist, isn't he?
Yes, he's definitely absolutely. Special kind of sadist. Yes, definitely. That's awesome, man. Oh shoot, I lost my train of thought. I was gonna ask you something about the gym and I can't remember what it was.
I saw a little dog behind you.
Oh yeah. So I have I was gonna ask you about that. You and Andrew guy, are they brother sister dogs or
they're brothers.
Brothers. Okay, I didn't know.
Right beside me here.
Nice.
That's awesome. Have you guys met Riddle? Was he there for the seminar?
No, he didn't have Riddle yet.
Okay. So yeah, we bought them like same day, I think, from the same litter. They're brothers.
Nice. That's awesome. Did you do the same training that he was doing? Like,
yeah, he came down.
Nice.
Okay. Andrew splits his time between headquarters and Triangle, and so he came down for about a month, and we trained the dogs together. He showed us how to train them.
Yeah, it works. I love it. Like seeing it because I'm a big advocate for like people are like, oh, this dog's terrible. Chad's heard me talk about this. I'm like, no, the owner's terrible. I'm like,
amen.
Because you didn't train your dog. You thought your dog was just going to do stuff like, oh, my dog doesn't listen. Well, did you teach it?
Yep.
I suck at jujitsu. Well, did your coach teach you? Like, you know what I mean? I mean, It's like that in life. Like, I suck at my job. Well, did you listen? Did you like learn what you were supposed to do while you were here? Like,
yep.
People always crack me up with that. It's like,
take that extreme ownership.
Yeah. It's like, come on. Like, you were given this life, man. Like, do something.
Yeah.
Jackass. So. Anyway, I get on those.
What were you gonna ask about the gym?
I was getting. Oh, do you guys have a kids program? Do you guys do kids?
We do. We
nice.
do. So we have. We have a great kids program. We do 6 a.m. morning classes. Then we have like our pro training at 9 a.m. for the competitors. Well, I mean, I say competitors. Most all the gym is competitors, but like for the professional athletes that are signed on.
Sure. Yeah.
The program. So we have 6 a.m. classes, our 9 a.m. pro training, and then after the pro training, we'll we either lift weights or we do like recovery. So we'll do like sauna, ice bath, stretch, physical therapy.
Nice.
And then we have noon classes, and then the kids are from like 4 to 7, and then we have our evening training from 7 to 9.
Very cool.
So, I mean, we don't, some of us coach the different classes, and I coach most of the morning and the evening classes.
Yeah, sure.
For our training program, like we have 14 training sessions a week that the athletes are committed to. There's five live training sessions or sparring sessions. There's 4 drilling sessions every week, 3 strength and conditioning, 2 recovery, and then at least an hour of film study. So like 14 sessions a week that they're dedicated to. And mix up between the days so everyone has a rest day and that kind of thing.
Sure.
And then most of the athletes also coach. It's a separate thing. Some of them work at the gym and some don't. But those that do, such as myself, we coach various classes as well.
Busy dude, man. You got a lot going on, which is awesome.
Yeah. I hate to take this life and not live it up to the fullest,
Well, it's my whole thing, man. It's like you were given it. Live your best life and do it.
That's right.
Do it right, Well, we kept you for a long time, brother. We've covered stuff. We just chat, man. We just don't know nothing, like pushing on anything, whatever. Like it's all good.
I love it. I mean, I'm an open book. I appreciate you guys having me on. I'm happy to talk about anything. I guess we kind of covered a lot of different subjects.
We did. Anything else you want to shout out or talk about, Clay?
Man, I appreciate you guys having me on. My biggest shout out, of course, is just to the guys here at the gym, the athletes and the coaches that help me train, help run the gym. We have Zach Heath. Zach just won PANS at white belt. He was our first ever blue belt promotion at Triangle. Had a phenomenal run at white belt and won PANS. And then he's our head kids class coach and does a great job there.
Nice.
And then Jonathan Hart, and then, Chuck Bailey, we call him Chuck the Truck. These guys both, we met them in tournaments and they moved into the gym full time and teach and train. Just awesome dudes. Bunch of great guys, other kids class coaches. I don't have any sponsors or anything like that I want to shout out. I've had various sponsorships over the years, but I just kind of I like to do my own thing. So I don't like to I don't like to rep shit because someone's paying me to do it. I will shout out Fuji. I just have a great relationship with them as not just as coaches, but also if you run a gym. I'm not getting any money from Fuji by saying this, but I just want to say they're a big part of us being able to do a good job and be professional. They have great communication, great products, great wholesale, and they really help us hold the highest standards. So Fuji's
nice.
worth a shout out. Appreciate you guys. Appreciate everything. Guys like you that just promote an open jiu-jitsu community, open dialogue, open training. It's great. I appreciate you guys.
Thanks,
absolutely, man. Thank you
for sure. Yeah. Quick.
Let's train together sometime.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
dude.
for sure.
I would love to.
That'd be awesome.
I'm a sponge too. At my age, I will say that's my biggest benefit of in jiu-jitsu, Chad, right?
Yeah.
Like I absorb stuff.
Are you guys going to be at the Fuji Nationals in Cincinnati, Ohio?
When is that?
It's November 20th.
It's
Saturday.
November 20th. We were actually, there were some guys talking about it yesterday.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we'll be up there. If you guys are there, might be able to
hook
connect
up
in person.
Yeah, for sure, dude. Definitely, man. So good. Real quick, what's your favorite move?
Triangle.
Yeah.
So I knew it. Like Chad was like, I was like, I still gotta ask him. When you said the flying triangle earlier, I was like, I think I've watched a ton of video of Clay, and it's the freaking flying triangle like all the time. And I'm like, it's so good because like you can't. I don't know. Like people, it's almost like you don't see it.
Yeah. He
does. I know.
Well, I was just gonna say it's not that they don't. It's just he sees it so much quicker, right? Or sooner, or your setups or whatever.
There's some setups, man. There's some details too. I think I'm gonna change the way the world does triangles. But I'm gonna get a little more clout at black belt, and then I'll drop an instructional.
Yeah,
there you go, Holmes. That's a good idea.
That'd be awesome, man.
Yeah,
for sure.
And we'll just have you in for a seminar maybe, and then you can teach that. And I'll be like, yeah, because when Andrew came in, he did the buzzsaw.
Did he? Yeah.
Yeah. So I was like, when he dropped it, when that all happened and everything, I was like, hey, that's what we did. I was like, we did that in the seminar. And I remember
what the weirdest thing about Andrew's seminars, he doesn't do the 1, 2, 3 clap. He's like, I don't do that. Just go. And so everybody's just kind of like staring at each other. What do we do?
It was funny. We all stopped. So he's like, all right, partner up. And we were like, what?
Yeah, no one knows they're sitting with their hands up like Ricky Bobby over here.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. I was like, what's happening?
Yeah.
And then I think he did it after that, didn't he? Like
I know.
so.
I don't think he. I don't think he did. Okay. I don't think so.
Yeah, that's all right.
Yeah, every time
it doesn't matter. Down,
we're super informal at Triangle. Like the only thing I have people do is like wear their shoes when they hop off the mats. You know, they don't bow on and off the mats. They don't call me professor or anything, anything like that. We're super chill, but we do the clap. And so that's like the one thing when he comes down and teaches for a few weeks, everyone's like, what the fuck do I do?
Yeah. It's so weird.
Once you're and you look at your coach, I'm sure people look at you like, what do we do? Like, that's what we all did to Chad. Like, he's there and we were all like,
I don't know.
What do we do?
Go drill.
Right. Just go drill.
Yeah. That's
cool too. And you brought just that small little thing real quick. It's funny, like professor thing. When we started this podcast, I'm a white belt. So I was like, I've only ever called Chad coach. Mm-hmm. And I was like, do I call him professor? Do I like people who we have on? He was like, no, you call them by their first name. And I was like, okay, cool. I was like, that's good.
If anybody stops you and says, call me professor, we're not having him on the podcast. Like,
Amen. Like, you're going to try to not go on another mini rant here.
You're
but
good.
It's like, I mean, I appreciate being called coach. It's like it's respectful when someone does that, but I never tell someone. I mean, we have the kids call, Coach Zach, Coach Foster, whatever, in the kids program. But in the adults, man, if someone wants to call me coach, that's fine. But like, call me professor or sir, like, get the fuck out of here. It's like, I get it when people from other gyms come in and they want to do it as a gesture of respect, but it just makes me sick when I see like, people demanding to be called, a
certain title.
It's so conceited. It's like the belts don't make you better than someone else, and belts don't deserve respect. I tell my students all the time, everyone taps the same. Like, the belt doesn't make you better. Your stripes aren't going to win the match for you. It just comes down to you and that person, and that's it.
100%. Yeah. It's just you and another person on the mat.
Yep.
Surviving, doing jiu-jitsu. What we love. All right, my brother Clay, appreciate you so much, man. Thanks for everything. Thanks for chilling with us and hanging with us, man. This show drops on November 15th. We'll tag you and we'll tag everything on it. Cool.
Perfect. Well, Terry, Chad, appreciate you guys. I'll spread it around. Give some love.
All right, brother.
Man. Thanks, brother. We'll see you. All right.
Yeah.
All right, later, brother. Hey everyone, we hope you enjoyed the show today. Remember, go out there and check out all our sponsors. By supporting them, you support the Limitless Radiocast podcast. It helps us bring you guys content each and every week and keeps us going. Thank you, and we appreciate you for all you do. Limitless Radiocast is brought to you by True Tubes Tattoo Supply. Limitless 10 at checkout for a 10% discount on all your tattoo needs. They have state-of-the-art equipment for everyday needs in the tattooer's life. Check them out. Remember, stay true. Limitless Radiocast is also brought to you by Magic City Brewing Company. Best beer brewed in the hometown of Akron, Ohio. Check them out. Check out RollAmongUs.com. Put in Limitless20 at checkout for a 20% discount on all your fight gear needs. That's gis, lanky gis, rash guards, spats, fight shorts. They have t-shirts and accessories. Check them out. Great place, ran by a great guy. Also, check out BattleBomb.com. Put in Limitless20 at checkout for a 20% discount. You have CBD and non-CBD rub to rub on those aches and pains from hard training, hard work, everyday life. Check them out. Remember, Limitless20 at checkout, BattleBomb.com.